وَإِذَا لَمْ تَأْتِهِمْ بِآيَةٍ قَالُوا لَوْلَا اجْتَبَيْتَهَا قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَتَّبِعُ مَا يُوحَى إِلَيَّ مِنْ رَبِّي هَذَا بَصَائِرُ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ وَهُدًى وَرَحْمَةٌ لِقَوْمٍ يُؤْمِنُونَ.
O Prophet, peace be upon him, when you do not produce before them any miracle, they say, why do you not choose for yourself a miracle? Say to them, I follow only what is revealed to me by my Lord. This is nothing but a means of insight into the truth and guidance and mercy from your Lord to the people who believe.
Why do you not choose for yourself a miracle?
This question is a taunt rather than a simple query. What the utterance implies is that if the claim to prophethood is genuine, it should have been supported by some miracle. The next verse contains a fitting rejoinder to the taunt.
And guidance and mercy from your Lord to the people who believe.
The Prophet, peace be upon him, is being made to tell his opponents in clear terms that he has no power to get whatever he wants. Being God's messenger, he is required to follow the directives of the one who has sent him and has granted him the Quran, which has the light of guidance. The major characteristic of this book is that those who seek guidance from it do indeed find the right way. The moral excellence visible in the lives of those people who accept the Quran is testimony to the fact that they have been blessed with God's mercy.
وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ.
So, when the Quran is recited, listen carefully to it and keep silent so that you may be shown mercy.
So when the Quran is recited, listen carefully to it and keep silent so that you may be shown mercy.
The unbelievers are asked to shed their prejudice and to abandon their deliberate indifference to the Quran. Whenever the Quran is recited to them, they stuff their fingers into their ears and make a lot of noise lest they or any others hear the Quran. They should better behave more maturely and make an effort to grasp the teachings of the Quran. It is quite likely that their study of the book would ultimately make them share with Muslims the blessings of the Quran. This is an excellent, subtle, and heart-winning approach which simply cannot be overpraised. Those who are interested in learning the art of effective preaching can benefit immensely by pondering over this Quranic verse. The main purpose of the verse has also been explained. By implication, however, the verse also enjoins people to be silent and to listen attentively to the Quran when it is being recited. The verse also provides the basis of the rule that when the leader, Imam, is reciting verses of the Quran in prayer, the followers in the congregation should refrain from reciting and listen to the recitation in silence. There's some disagreement among scholars on this issue. Abu Hanifa and his disciples are of the view that the followers in the congregation should remain silent, irrespective of whether the Imam is reciting the Quran aloud or silently in his mind. On the other hand, Malik and Ahmad bin Hanbal are of the opinion that the followers in the congregation should listen silently only when the Quran is being recited aloud. According to Shafi, the followers in the congregation should also recite the Quran regardless of whether the Imam is reciting the Quran aloud or silently. His view is based on the hadith that prayer without recitation of Al-Fatiha is void.
وَاذْكُرْ رَبَّكَ فِي نَفْسِكَ تَضَرُّعًا وَخِيفَةً وَدُونَ الْجَهْرِ مِنَ الْقَوْلِ بِالْغُدُوِّ وَالْآصَالِ وَلَا تَكُن مِّنَ الْغَافِلِينَ.
And remember, O Prophet, your Lord in your mind with humility and fear, and without raising your voice. Remember him in the morning and evening, and do not become of those who are negligent.
Without raising your voice, remembering him in the morning and evening, and do not become of those who are negligent.
The command to remember the Lord signifies remembrance in prayer as well as otherwise, be it verbally or in one's mind. Again, the directive to remember God in the morning and in the evening refers to prayer at those times, as well as remembering God at all times. The purpose of so saying is to emphasize constant remembrance of God. This admonition that man ought to remember God always constitutes the conclusion of the discourse, lest man become heedless of God. For every error and corruption stems from the fact that man tends to forget that God is his Lord, and that in his own part he is merely a servant of God, who is being tested in the world, that he will be made to render after his death a full account to his Lord of all his deeds. All those who care to follow righteousness would, therefore, be ill-advised not to let these basic facts slip out of their minds. Hence, prayer, remembrance of God, and keeping one's attention ever focused on God are frequently stressed in the Quran.
إن الذين عند ربك لا يستكبرون عن عبادته ويسبحونه وله يسجدون.
The angels who are near to your Lord never turn away from his service out of arrogance. They rather glorify him and prostrate themselves before him.
Never turn away from his service out of arrogance.
It is Satan who behaves arrogantly and disdains to worship God, and such an attitude naturally brings about degradation and abasement. But an attitude marked by consistent surrender to God characterizes angels and leads people to spiritual elevation and proximity to God. Those interested in attaining this state should emulate the angels and refrain from following the ways of Satan.
They rather glorify him.
To celebrate God's praise signifies that the angels acknowledge and constantly affirm that God is beyond any flaw, free from every defect, error, and weakness, that he has no partner or peer, that none is like him,
and prostrate themselves before him.
Whoever recites or hears this verse should fall in prostration so as to emulate the practice of angels. In addition, prostration also proves that one has no shred of pride, nor is one averse to the duty of being subservient to God. In all, there are 14 verses in the Quran, the recitation of which requires one to prostrate. That one should prostrate on reading or hearing these verses is, in principle, an incontrovertible point. There is, however, some disagreement about it being obligatory, wajib. Abu Hanifa regards it as obligatory, while other authorities consider it to be recommended. According to traditions, while reciting the Quran in large gatherings, when the Prophet, peace be upon him, came upon a verse the recitation of which calls for prostration, he prostrated, and the whole gathering followed suit. The traditions mention that sometimes some people did not have room to prostrate. Such people prostrated on the backs of others. It is reported in connection with the conquest of Makkah that in the course of the Quran recitation, as the Prophet, peace be upon him, read such a verse, those standing fell into prostration, while those who were mounted on horses and camels performed prostration in that very state. It is also on record that while delivering a sermon from the pulpit, the Prophet, peace be upon him, came down from the pulpit to offer prostration and resumed his sermon thereafter. It is generally believed that the conditions for this kind of prostration are exactly the same as required for offering prayer, that one should be in a state of ritual purity, that one should be facing the Kaaba, and that the prostration should be performed as in the state of prayer. However, the traditions we have been able to find in the relevant sections of the Hadith collection do not specifically mention these conditions. It thus appears that one may perform prostration irrespective of whether one fulfills these conditions or not. This view is corroborated by the practice of some of the early authorities. Bukhari, for instance, reports about Abdullah bin Umar that he used to perform prostration even though he would have required ablution if he wanted to perform prayer. Likewise, it has been mentioned in the Fath al-Bari about Abdul Rahman al-Sulami that if he was reciting the Quran while moving and he recited a verse calling for prostration, he would simply bow his head rather than make full prostration. And he would do that even when he was required to make ablution for prayer and regardless of whether he was facing the Kaaba or not. In our view, therefore, while it is preferable to follow the general opinion of the scholars on the question, it would not be blameworthy if someone deviates from that opinion. The reason for this is that the general opinion of the scholars on this question is not supported by well-established sunnah, and there are instances of deviation from it on the part of the early authorities.